The 1975 Jets were a team in turmoil. 6 full years removed from their stunning Super Bowl victory, injuries to quarterback Joe Namath and a weakening defense caused the Jets to fall on hard times. Part of the turmoil is linked to the Jets' awful defense, which ranked last in the NFL in points allowed and yards allowed, which caused Joe Namath to pass more than he'd like. He had badly damaged knees, and his offensive line did not allow him enough time to pass. Prior to the start of the 1975 season, the Chicago Winds of the World Football League offered Joe a $600,000 annual contract for 3 years, a $2 million annuity, a $500,000 signing bonus, and terms for Namath's eventual ownership of a WFL franchise. Joe countered with a request for 15% receipt of the league's TV revenue, which was rejected. Joe remained a Jet. Oh, Joe misfired every now and again, but that's going to happen when you're rearing back and throwing all day. New England Patriots went on strike 1 week before the regular season began in protest against the failure of the owners to sign a new contract with the National Football League Players Association. The only team to walk out in support of the Patriots was the Jets. Defensive end Ed Gallagher argued with middle linebacker Steve Reeves over responsibility of a certain play during the game and punched Reeves in the jaw right in front of the Jets bench. Here's a great double-team block on Buck Buchanan by Wayne Mulligan and Gary Petts. Riggins had 1,005 rushing yards in 1975, 7th best in the NFL, and went to the Pro Bowl game for the only time in his Hall of Fame career. The Jets were 10th in the NFL in rushing, which was respectable. The Jets star running back John Riggins was very unhappy with his contract, and this would be his last year with the Jets as he was playing out his option with the team. Adding to player management relations problems, the Jets had a terrible 1975 draft. As if that wasn't enough, the Jets canned their head coach after the ninth game. The key to the Jets' success was simple, really. It was to keep Joe Namath upright and to allow him enough time to set up properly and to have a good base on which to throw since he had badly damaged knees and wore a knee brace. Jets' 1975 draft was not good, to put it lightly. They traded their first overall pick to New Orleans, and with their second pick, they selected Anthony Davis, running back from USC, who had an outstanding collegiate career in which he finished second in the Heisman Trophy voting in 1974 to Archie Griffin. In a 1972 game against Notre Dame, he scored 6 touchdowns. He played on 5 national championship teams at USC, 2 in football and 3 in baseball, and he was drafted by the Minnesota Twins in the 4th round of the 1975 Major League Baseball draft. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated 3 times, so yeah, he was a big deal. He ended up signing a 5-year, $1.7 million contract with the World Football League's Southern California Sun that included a $200,000 bonus and a Rolls Royce. After the World Football League folded, he became the Canadian Football League's first $1 million man when he signed to play for the Toronto Argonauts. By 1977, he was playing for his old college coach, John McKay, at Tampa Bay. In 1978, he played for the Oilers and Rams, and in 1983, he played for the USFL's LA Express, so he played in 4 professional leagues. With the Jets' third pick, they selected linebacker Richard Wood out of USC. He started 5 games for the Jets in 1975 and was shipped to Tampa Bay for a 7th-round draft pick in the 1977 draft on September 8, 1976. That wasn't a smart move because Wood played 9 years for the Bucs, while the Jets player that they selected only started 4 games and scored 2 touchdowns in 1 year with the Jets. With the 8th pick, they selected wide receiver James Scott, who missed the entire 1975 season with an eye injury, was released, then signed with the Bears, where he played for 7 years and scored 20 touchdowns. Oops again. The only other draft pick of note was 14th round draft pick Joe Fields, who would play splendid ball for the Jets at the center position for 13 years, making 2 Pro Bowl teams. Other than that, the Jets' draft was a complete waste. With the Jets' backs to their goal line, the Vikes' number 27 Autry Beeman blitzed. Namath threw it high, so 6' 5" Rich Castor could snare it. Tempting as it was to blitz, Namath normally identified it ahead of time and made teams pay. 1975 was John Riggins' last year as a Jet, and he was the team's MVP who had played for $63,000 that year. His free agent signing with Washington scored him a 5-year, $1.5 million contract, a handsome pay increase. Defensive line head coach Buddy Ryan had his defensive tackles, number 85 Ed Gallagher and number 77 Carl Barzalauskas, stunt. The looping strategy worked to perfection as Gallagher dumped Fran Tarkenton. But this game was all about Chuck Foreman, who ran for 96 yards and 1 touchdown, and he also received 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Damp and gloomy Shea Stadium greeted the Dolphins in Week 5, and the Dolphins destroyed the Jets 43-0. Namath was awful, as he completed only 8 of 24 passes, along with 6 interceptions. He was pulled from the game, but backup J.J. Jones wasn't any better. He was 0 of 9 passing and was sacked twice. Jets' punting game was woeful. In 1974, Greg Gant averaged a sorry 35.9 yards per punt. Why they kept him around for 1975 is beyond me, because he only increased his average to 36.5 in 1975, his last year in the NFL. The Jets' kicking game was looking good, though. Pat Leahy was in his second year, and by 1978, he'd make first-team All-Pro and go on to have a fine 18-year NFL career, all with the Jets. In Week 6, Namath was intercepted by number 20 Jackie Wallace, who returned it 38 yards for a touchdown, but that wasn't the reason for this Jets loss. The reason for the loss was the Jets' leaky defense, which ended up last in the NFL in points allowed at season's end. They gave up a ton of yards through the air, and defensive backs coach Sam Rutigliano was fired at the end of the year. Jets' left defensive end is Billy Newsome, who had 8 sacks in 1975. But there were times when he missed out on a few more, like here with Colts quarterback Burt Jones. How did the Colts' defensive line fare against Namath and the Jets' porous offensive line? They sacked Namath 7 times. When his offensive line gave him time to throw, he was right on target. He completed 19 of 28 passes for 333 yards and 3 touchdowns. In 13 games started, Namath and the Jets won 3 and lost 10. He had 15 touchdown passes and 28 interceptions, which led the NFL, and he was sacked 27 times, the most in his 13-year career. While his 14.6 yards per completion led the NFL, he was 27th in passer rating. With a defense like the Jets had, you're going to have to pass, and defenses know it, so they can tee off on you. Things got so bad in this laugher that the Jets pulled Namath and put in J.J. Jones, who went 6 of 15 for 86 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, along with being sacked 2 times. On the day, Jets quarterbacks were sacked 5 times, picked off 3 times, and only completed 15 of 41 passes. The Jets canned head coach Charlie Winner after the 52-17 drubbing that the Colts handed them. In 1974, he coached the Jets to a 7-7 record, including wins in each of the last 6 games of the year, but his 2-7 record just wasn't good enough in 1975, so offensive coordinator Ken Shipp took over. Charlie flew 17 missions in a B-17 Flying Fortress plane in World War II and spent 6 weeks in a German prisoner of war camp. He's 99 years old. Early in this Week 10 game, the Jets were gassed up and ready to go. They were playing inspired defense. But the defense got a bit too aggressive when linebacker John Ebersol and safety Dallas Howell lined up for a risky double blitz, and Terry Metcalf split the defense in two. In the end, new coaching didn't help a bit. The Cardinals blew out the Jets 37-6. Terry Metcalf and Mel Gray torched the Jets to the tune of 4 touchdowns. Their speed was just too much. What do you think the Jets were going to do against the Super Bowl champs? Bradshaw found things easy going. Namath was either throwing out of a well or dusting himself off after being sacked. Steelers 20, Jets 7. Not too bad, actually. The Jets beat the Patriots in Week 3. Could they beat them again in Week 12? Do you believe in miracles? This play symbolized the Jets' season in an earlier game against the Colts. Namath to Caster for 93 yards, but 6 inches short of a touchdown. Namath was wearing out his welcome in New York, and it wouldn't be long before he was running out of town.